Welcome back to ZBCN Today, the channel where we cut through the noise and focus on what actually matters. This isn't about short-term hype, emotional price swings, or chasing green candles. Here we break down Zebec Network from a real-world perspective: adoption, infrastructure, institutional behavior, and the deeper structural shifts happening behind the scenes. If you're looking for calm, long-form analysis that connects fundamentals with market behavior and long-term conviction, you're in the right place. Let's get into today's breakdown. Even heading into the holiday period, a time when sentiment usually improves, the crypto market remains overwhelmingly red. Yes, you'll occasionally see random coins pumping 15 or 20%, almost always meme coins, almost always with no fundamental justification. And that's not bullish, that's not strength. That's a sign of a market that is still driven by emotion, speculation, and impatience, not fundamentals. When joke projects climb rankings while real infrastructure plays remain ignored, it tells you exactly where we are in the cycle. This is not a market that rewards utility. This is not a market that rewards long-term vision. This is a market still reacting to fear. The Fear and Greed Index has been stuck in extreme fear territory for an uncomfortably long time. Everything you hear on ZBCN Today is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing in this video should be considered financial advice, investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any asset. Not just today, not just this week, not just this month. Extreme fear yesterday, extreme fear last week, extreme fear last month. And as we move closer to the new year, there's a strong possibility that sentiment remains negative well into early 2025. This phase of the market is where patience disappears. Strong projects get ignored, retail interest fades, and frustration sets in. But historically, this is also the phase where experienced capital quietly accumulates, without noise, without hype, and without social media excitement. That said, one thing needs to be very clear. Not everything is automatically a buy just because prices are down. Blind dip buying is one of the fastest ways to destroy a portfolio. Smart investors don't buy because something dropped 20%. They buy because it's near structural support. They buy because risk to reward makes sense. And they buy knowing price can still go lower. Here's where Zbeck separates itself from the crowd. Despite sideways price action, the project itself has not stalled. Development continues. Infrastructure continues to expand. ISO 2022 aligned systems continue to be refined for real-world use cases like payroll solutions, real-time payments, cross-border financial flows. This isn't speculative marketing. This is foundational financial infrastructure, the kind that doesn't explode overnight but quietly embeds itself into existing systems. On top of that, partnership announcements haven't stopped. Adoption metrics continue trending upward. Social engagement is steadily growing, and long-term positioning remains intact. So a reasonable question naturally comes up. If the overall crypto market were healthy right now, where would ZBCN realistically be trading? Based purely on fundamentals, adoption trajectory, and infrastructure relevance, it would likely already be sitting comfortably inside the top 100 projects. But markets don't reward fundamentals immediately. They reward them eventually. Earlier this year, token unlocks dominated the conversation. Dilution fears, sell pressure narratives, constant anxiety around supply. Fast forward to today, and unlocks barely move sentiment. Why? Because the majority of heavy unlock periods are already behind us. What remains is relatively minor when compared to overall circulating supply and long-term growth potential. This matters more than people realize. It removes a massive psychological overhang from the project and allows investors to focus on growth instead of fear. ZBCN is currently sitting around a $265 to $266 million market capitalization. But market cap alone doesn't tell the full story. Here's the more important metric. The holder count keeps increasing. We're approaching 90,000 holders, and that number has been rising steadily, even while price remains flat. That tells you accumulation is happening. People are positioning quietly, not chasing green candles. And in crypto, community matters. Projects with strong patient holder bases survive bear phases. Projects without them disappear. ZBCN clearly falls into the first category. As of recording, price is around $0.0027, down roughly 2% on the day, down about 13 to 14% on the month. Depending on entry, many long-term holders are still in profit. From a technical standpoint, strong support exists near the 0.0023 level. That zone has been tested multiple times across different market conditions and has held relatively well. That's why buy signals appeared in mid-December, not due to hype, but because structural support was respected. However, this is critical. Support holds until it doesn't. Macro shocks can break any level. Geopolitical escalation, economic stress, crypto-specific black swan events. That's why risk management always comes first. Never go all in. Always keep capital in reserve. Even on your highest conviction plays. Here's the uncomfortable truth. We'll never know exactly where ZBCN would be trading if crypto had performed like gold or silver this year. That window has already passed. What we do know is that the next major expansion phase for crypto is likely further out, potentially into 2026. And yes, that requires patience. But historically, the biggest returns come after the longest periods of boredom. Crypto has underperformed while nearly every other asset class has rallied. That imbalance doesn't persist forever. When liquidity rotates back into risk assets, projects with real-world utility and infrastructure tend to benefit the most. Let's be very clear as we wrap this up. ZBCN is not failing. ZBCN is not weak. ZBCN is not broken. It is consolidating, waiting for liquidity, waiting for sentiment to shift, waiting for fundamentals to matter again. Sideways price action is not a death sentence. Often, it's preparation. And when the market finally transitions from emotion back to logic, projects like Zbeck are positioned to respond, not with hype-driven spikes, but with sustainable moves backed by real adoption. And if you're getting value from this kind of focused, fundamentals-driven Zbeck content, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to ZBCN Today, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future updates. It directly supports the channel and helps this research-driven community grow. Drop your thoughts or questions in the comments. I read them all. Now, let's continue with the real analysis.